Today's webinar is entitled Using Smartphones as a Marketing and Programming Tool, The Future is Mobile. Your presenter is Patrick Stillman. Patrick is the Innovations and Programming Officer of Media Arts Center San Diego and was a founding officer of the nonprofit organization in 1994. He has a long history with the arts, nonprofit organizations, and business operations in San Francisco, Los Angeles, and most currently San Diego. Patrick also continues to act as the designated lead trainer for the California of the Past projects, which are now located in 40 libraries statewide. I'm now happy to introduce Patrick Stillman.
Thank you so much, Eileen. We're going to start off our webinar with a brief video showcasing one of the showcasing the case study that we'll be talking about later in the webinar. While we're going, oh, go ahead. Here we go.
I'm excited to work with kids and to get different technology in their hands and show them how to use it, something they may not really be using at home, or show them different ways to use it to really empower them and report about their neighborhood. One great thing about the program itself is that it's combining the mobile technology with citizen journalism, so it's teaching kids to become journalists and all of the little intricate parts that come along with it.
Things that have to do with journalism and writing and asking questions, you're making a connection with using electronics and using different media is kind of cool. And I think it also opens doors for children that don't have electronics and different types of media accessible to them.
You don't know what's going to inspire you to make a video. Maybe there's something out there that just like that inspires you, but you don't have a camera. Or you can use your phone and take a picture or a video, and you can make something really cool out of that.
So we're teaching the kids about using photos, video, and audio to report stories on their neighborhood. Stories about their library, local things going on, stories that affect them.
This is an opportunity for my younger child to really see, to be interested in something like that in the future. When I saw the things that they were going to be using, I was really impressed by the fact that they were going to have cool gadgets.
An easy way for them to share the stories is utilizing the smartphones and mobile technology.
Technology is always changing. It's good to be familiarized with it, so when something new comes, it's not going to be that hard to know how to use it.
I'm not a big person on technology myself. I'm kind of behind in technology. And if my children learn it first, and then they can, teach me about it, so I'm kind of excited about, my child teaching me about technology.
Through more funding, we'll be able to expand our programs into more communities, into more schools, allowing for more students to be able to learn about how to become citizen journalists, how to record their story, and we'll learn more about the San Diego community as well as hopefully eventually learn more about what's happening in California and maybe even nationwide.
Okay, great. Well, thank you for sitting through that video. If you didn't really get a good reception on that, I might suggest you visit mediaartscenter.org/webinar3, and you can watch this video and the other video that will be played later at your own leisure. As we go through today's webinar, please go ahead and ask your questions as I'm going along. I'm going to save my responses, though, until the end of the session. So what makes a phone smart? 20 years ago, phones became smart with the introduction of the now forgotten IBM Simon. It was a dramatic shift from the bulky phone that we used to use to call home from while we were on the road. Smartphones combine the function of a PDA, personal digital assistant, like a Palm Pilot, with a mobile phone, and today's models also serve as media players, web browsers, camera phones, game players with high-resolution touchscreens. And though we hear a lot about iPhone and BlackBerry devices, you might be surprised to know that Android is the most common smartphone platform. Of course, no one can beat Apple for the sheer number of applications. So before we go into the presentation, let me ask a few questions to see who we have participating with us today and how you might already be using smartphones. Okay, so first we're going to just do a raise of hands, and I'm curious as to how many of you are already using smartphones in your library already. If you look at the little hand right underneath the attendees and click it, then I'll be able to see your responses. And Chuck, I'm not seeing any responses, so perhaps you can simply tell me how many hands have been raised under the chat. Okay, so let's go on then to finding out.
32.
Oh, okay, great. So a little less than half, about 40% of you. Okay, great. For those of you who are using them, let me ask a poll. So let me get a poll set up here. And I want to know how you're using the poll. So go ahead and mark as many of the answers as you can. Behind the desk, marketing, programs, and networking. While you're doing that, let me tell you that across the globe, libraries are taking note of this new sweeping revolution of mobile net access, one that looks to trump the advent of the Internet itself. In Europe, the Bavarian State Librarian Director, Dr. Genoa, reported this summer that we can't afford any longer not to offer services for the mobile Internet. All relevant trend forecasts say that no later than next year, the primary access to Internet will no longer be stationary PCs or laptops, but mainly through smartphones and tablet PCs. And the proportion of those who use the Internet exclusively in mobile form is increasing more and more. And for example, in Egypt, it's already 70% of those using the Internet are using their phone. The speed of this technology, shows no sign of slowing. We're moving step for step into a new situation that, probably in about 3 or 5 years, you're going to be saying, what isn't in the mobile web doesn't exist in principle for many users, especially those younger users. Okay, so let's return back to the poll. I'm going to go ahead and close that. And it's going to take just a few seconds here to close out, and then I will show you the results. Pretty interesting. Those of you who are actually using smartphones in your library, you're already using some for marketing and a little bit for programming, but not so much behind the desk or networking yet. So it'll be interesting to see how these things sort of change over the next 12 months.
Patrick, you need to click apply as well.
I did do that. So if that's not showing up, let me just tell you what the results were. So marketing, 14% of you are using that for marketing. 11% are using that for programming. 9% are using behind the desk. And 6% are using for networking. Okay. Go ahead and ask you one more poll. So what kind of operating system are you using if you're already using the smartphones? This may be different from the type of phone you have, but to simplify things, if you're unsure on your operating system, just go ahead and click the phone name that you're familiar with. Operating systems and phone brands aren't always the same because some companies license their operating system to other companies. For example, Google and Microsoft are licensed to many different companies, while Apple, Nokia, and even RIM keep their operating systems only in-house so they can only use on their phones. There's no one universal platform for smartphones, which sometimes complicates things for us end users because the apps and the features aren't always available for our phones. Most two important things I really want you to be aware of is that there is a difference between phones and operating systems, because that might come up. And I also want you to take a look at what the public is embracing. So if we look at the graph to see the latest trend, you can see Android wins. And I'm going to go ahead and close the poll. We're going to take a look and see what is happening with those participants today who have smartphones. And what I see is Android again wins. Actually, Android is 10%, I'm sorry, and iPhones are 18%. So the Apple wins in our group. And let me go ahead and share those results. Though I do see that we have 3% of you are BlackBerry users, and then we have a small percentage of Nokia, Microsoft, and another phone operating system. So the results vary a little bit from our graph, but like I said, it's really kind of interesting to know what people are using, and as you decide to do different types of programming, you want to keep that in mind. Okay, so who has smartphones? So let me bring some stats back home to a personal level. So in a recent Pew Internet survey, 35% of adults own smartphones. Of that 35%, 44% are African Americans and Latinos. 68% use their smartphone to go online every day, and 87% of those users use their smartphone to access their email. So some really good statistics there that you might want to keep in mind or use for your own marketing efforts. Of course, not surprising, 25 to 34-year-olds are the highest user group, and that's about 58%. The industry reports from Olswang and Bergen site indicate that the rate of smartphone adoption is accelerating. In a one-year period, 2009 to 2010, shipments of smartphones increased 75%, huge number. And according to the Pew Internet report we were just looking at, that came out in July, the smartphone adoption is the highest among affluent and well-educated, the relatively young, and non-white. When asked what device they normally use to access the internet, 25% of smartphone owners say that they'll go mostly online using their phone rather than a computer. 25%, wow. After reading the ALA TechSource report recently, the numbers cited here in the Pew report confirm the trends we're seeing. But the trend that the report revealed that is most important for libraries is that for some of our population, the phone is their internet access. This is important to understand to make sure that your library websites are compatible with mobile devices. Menus, searching, and browsing on your site should be easy to do on a smartphone. We already know that many people only see us through our online presence, and now we know a fair portion of them are coming to us through their phones. For those of us who worked in the industry before fax machines and personal computers, it may seem that every year we have to learn some new gadget, which can be frustrating. But with global society embracing interconnectedness, the age of the personal computer in your pocket is here. Libraries are already finding new ways to incorporate smartphones behind the desk, in programming, and throughout the virtual world of the internet. If you look at this list of how libraries are embracing smartphones already, you know, it's amazing. There's so much that we can do. I wish I had an entire week to share with you the diverse and fascinating development of how we book lovers are embracing mobile technologies. But with only an hour, I'm just going to scratch the surface by briefly focusing on how you can use the smartphone as a marketing tool, how to incorporate the technology into your programming, and even explore a program as a case study that did both. So here's a brief overview of what we're going to look at in the next hour. So I'm going to share a lot of information with you up front. I don't expect you to understand or retain everything, so just sit back and simply go along for the ride with me. We interact with all this new technology in a very personal and unique manner. So I can assume that the people we have here today, see all of this as a brand new concept, and we have others who are looking for concrete ways to enhance their work. I guess what I'm trying to say is that we've got a wide range of people here who are using phones and who aren't. And so I'm going to try to address concerns for everybody. Just be forewarned that sometimes I'll be talking technobabble, but I'll do my best to give real-world examples to give context so that you're not feeling overwhelmed. The most complex information in this webinar is going to be in the very beginning. So hang in there. It'll get more practical as we move into the second half of the webinar when we see some concepts and apps in action. My goal today is for all of you to leave this webinar with understanding that there are vast opportunities for you to use technology as a tool to connect with others and offer some advice and a lot of resources to take those next steps, no matter what comfort level and technology you're currently at. So, like I said, go ahead and send me your comments as we move along the webinar. I'll answer many of your questions as time allows at the end of the session. Okay, making your marketing smart. I like that. I love those little like buttons that we see everywhere these days. And social networks and apps are a great way to build community. Social media is becoming more and more a must for libraries, and many libraries are finding that when used properly, it can be a great tool to save money and promote library services and collections. There are numerous mobile apps you probably are already familiar with, like Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, but with each passing day, more and more apps are becoming available, including those designed for library websites and by library database vendors. I'm including a great website resource from accredited online colleges that offers 40 examples of cool ways college libraries are already leveraging social media. I'll let you look at that list when you pull out the handouts from online. And I think it's already mentioned in the notes or in the chat session, but you can find that at infopeople.org/training/using-smartphones. So some of the cool ways that they're using them is Trivia Tuesdays. Agnes Scott College has contests on the library's blog and Facebook each week, offering prizes to the first fans or friends who give the correct answer. Another one is Giving the Scoop, announcing breaking news and information that's happening at the library before it's otherwise available, like a fresh new stack of romance novels that just came in. You know, announce it first on Facebook. Another great option is to text the librarian. Middleton Library offers a feature that allows students to text questions to librarians and get an answer any time of day. So as at the library, they resource their staff, and they can go on and respond to their clients, their patrons. Another one is uploading visiting authors and lectures. A lot of libraries are uploading special talks to Facebook, YouTube, and Flickr with quotes, videos, and photos respectively of the people that they're having in the library to speak to their audiences. And one of my favorites is the Library Minute. Arizona State University uses short videos on YouTube to share information about what's going on at the library. We'll see more of this in a bit when we explore today's case study. It's my favorite because I've been training libraries on video use for the internet, especially digital storing, telling for the past 5 years. Okay, so what we're looking at here is a quick response code, or known as a QR code. You've probably seen them on all kinds of things. I've seen them on posters. I've seen them on advertisements on TV, and even on billboards. And so you may be wondering exactly what are they? QR codes are considered the next stage in marketing. It's a two-dimensional barcode, much like the barcodes you see in grocery stores. The QR code you see here was specifically created for my series of InfoPeople webinars and directs you to the URL for more information. QR codes let you jump from printed content to online content, like a video, a website, or helpful information. You can create QR codes free online or download an app. And that's what I usually do. That's how I created this one, is with a free app from, I've got an iPhone, so I went to the Apple Store. I use the app Crafter, that's Crafter with a Q, Q-R-A-F-T-E-R, on my iPhone, for example. The QR codes can increase customer engagement and encourage users to take that next step in marketing and promotion on their own. These next steps can include signing up for newsletters, routing users' book reviews, rating the customer service of the library. As you know, you can only fit a certain amount of information on a flyer or a postcard. So the QR code offers an interested user access to more information. And when used correctly, you can also move the user to action. Some libraries offer incentives with their QR codes, like coupons, discount on products, or giveaways. These incentives are called call to action. Call to action allow users to complete a certain action that produces a certain result. Your library might use giveaways or offer access to additional information, for example. So how do you use a QR code? If you have a smartphone, you could go to your phone's marketplace and download what's called a QR code reader, like my Crafter. And once installed, when you come across the QR code, you can simply open the QR code reader and look for the scan option. Then you hold your phone over the QR code to scan it, like taking a picture with your phone. And your phone will automatically give you the additional information you were seeking. What makes QR codes really nice is that you don't even need an internet access to get information off it. All the information right inside the code itself. Libraries can even provide incentives for scanning barcodes. Like businesses use Foursquare to check in at their location, you can use it to provide different incentives based upon whom your readers might be for this section, like in this example. Okay, let's take a break. Breathe out, breathe in, good. Okay, it's trivia time. So who was the first U.S. library to create an application for iPhone? Anybody know that out there? If you do, go ahead and write it down for the chat. Well, I'll tell you. Ann Arbor? No. Good guess. Chicago? No. New York? Definitely East Coast. But yes, D.C. Jerry, dear, you got it. Oh, Linda, you are right on. Yep. It was District of Columbia Public Library. Their attractive application, simply called DCPL, offers users a catalog search, library hour information, and the ability to place items on hold. What's really awesome is they made their code open source, which means that other libraries can build your own iPhone app using what they've already established. How cool is that? Okay, so One of the other things that we can do to make sure our marketing is effective with smartphones is to look at website compatibility. You know, sure, launching a mobile marketing strategy is fairly complex, right? And you want to get started off on the right foot. Okay, I know. Even if you're old school, when thinking about making your website mobile ready, you'll be surprised to find out in 2010, there were 1.5 billion local searches made from mobile devices. Over a billion. Wow. Mobile media is coming whether we like it or not. It's already here, actually. So let me offer 5 simple, common sense ways to make your mobile or your website mobile ready. The goal is mobile compatibility, not mobile friendly. Compatibility means that when somebody visits your website on a smartphone, they basically see the same thing as what they would see when they sit down at their computer. Mobile friendly means creating a separate design that only appears for mobile users. So obviously being friendly means twice the amount of work when updating, and let's face it, it costs more time and money in addition to creating problems with redundancies. So don't set something up separate. Don't make it mobile friendly. Go mobile compatible. And so here are some simple things you can do to make your website mobile compatible. Do not use Flash. In addition to being heavy for loading times, many smartphone devices do not support Flash, which means when your visitors get there, they won't see anything. For animation and interactivity, use a JavaScript library like jQuery combined with HTML5 to effectively give the same thing that someone would see normally on a Flash when they're sitting on a computer. This is where some of the technobabble comes in. If it means nothing to you, then pass this on to someone at the library who's working on your website. You can validate your code at W3C website, and I've put the link right here on this page. That's awesome because you can go there and you can test your mobile compatibility and see exactly what it's going to look like for somebody on a phone. And that is, if you look here, validate your code at W3C is http://validator.w3.org. Okay. You can use tools like YSlow or page speed to see how you can speed up your load times. This will also help for desktop browsing. And then the final tip I wanted to give you was to compress your images using the website Smushit. Love that name. It, you know, images will slow down any site, and you really don't want to slow down people who are paying for data on their smartphone. So Smushit can, you know, improve your images by compressing them down, and it actually can speed up your mobile compatibility by 30%. Okay. So if you're looking at creating virtual access to your library, it may be out of your hands. Many libraries have departments that are focusing on this or hiring outside help. But virtual access to libraries is growing in popularity, and it's known as M-libraries, or, you know, the M is for mobile. University of Cambridge surveyed students and found that 55% were in favor of being able to access the library catalog from mobile phones. If you're ready to dip your toes into the M-library movement, I highly suggest the M-library wiki, which is part of the handouts I included, or you can find it directly at the website located on your screen, which truly accesses an endless number of active M-libraries alphabetically from Aalborg to Yale, vendors like Boopsy, publishers including Encyclopedia Britannica and Project Gutenberg, and even suggested reading is listed there. It's a really excellent source get a good feel of what other libraries are doing in the mobile environment. And even though it doesn't appear on their recommended list, I wanted to highly recommend reading the recent book, No Shelf Required, eBooks in Library by Sue Polenka. It was released earlier this year. And the read gives librarians a complete and comprehensive understanding of the ebook and how to successfully integrate it into your library. And in the handouts, I've given you a ALA book review on that as well. If you're ready to create a mobile library website but are light on the technical knowledge, then I suggest you consider these online tools. For example, WinkSite is a great tool to create up to 5 mobile sites for free that can help you create a community around your library's website. And it includes things like built-in chats, forums, surveys, event guest books, and even QR codes. To learn about the rest of these suggestions, check out the documents attached to my webinar. They're all kind of similar and offer different, very user-friendly access to creating mobile-compatible websites without actually having to create your whole new library website, or even you have the ability to create it separately. Okay, so other useful trends in libraries and social media that apply to smartphones include the following: Google applications, whether it's collaborating with Google Docs, using Google Voice for text messaging, or any of the other Google applications. Google has a lot to offer libraries, and more libraries are starting to use these. Another is Twitter. While more libraries may be using Facebook, in many ways Twitter can offer more to libraries when it comes to reference and instant answers to questions. And virtual reference. While this is already offered at many libraries, new trends and offerings in the social media world make offering this service more practical than before. Whether it's installing an instant chat application on Facebook fan page, using a live video site such as Ustream.tv, or one of the many other free applications available through social media, virtual reference is more doable and approachable than it has been in years. Increased collaboration between libraries at more than one institution, as well as between faculty, librarians, will occur thanks to social marketing and social media tools that make this possible. Examples include Twitter, or Tweedle, and many other whiteboard and online sharing applications. So the new era of technology is overwhelming for sure. My most practical advice is to target one of these many ideas I just threw at you today and simply include it into your daily workforce. Once you sort of feel confident with one, then add another. If you haven't embraced Facebook or Twitter, start there, and then perhaps in a week or two, start adding QR codes to your marketing. I mean, it's really overwhelming to think about how fast technology has changed. So just in this webinar alone, you can see that the wonderful world of technological advances is surprisingly vast. For some of us, it is terribly exciting, and for others, well, just terrible. Let's just stop for a moment, shall we, while I hit my not so fast button. So let's just relax, sit up straight in your chair, close your eyes, take a deep breath. Visualize a nice cool breeze as you watch the sunset from your beach chair. Inhale, exhale. Okay. Feeling better? Good. Now return to me and your computer. You went through the most difficult part already. If you feel unsure about all this modern stuff, you're not alone. And that's the good news, right? It tells us that the best place to embrace technology is to start with the basics. Start slow and easy. Offer basic technology programs at your library. It will be the support that both your patrons and colleagues will appreciate. As you develop your programs, make sure to keep in mind who your audience is. Teen programming can move at a much quicker pace than, say, programming for your community elders. Younger generations rarely notice the technology they're using. It's not so much as new as simply as a part of their lives. To put that in perspective, I'm a baby boomer. That means I grew up in the 60s. We were, only aware of the programming when we watched our favorite TV shows. We never gave any thought to the technology or infrastructure that brought those shows into our homes. It's the same thing for kids using technology today. Today's youth perceive technology different than those of us who grew up in that time before VCRs and fax machines. And as such, they're using it differently too. So keep in mind as you strategize on your programming and marketing, just how to teach the basics. I like to think that lengthy emails, advertising flyers, and clunky websites are on their way out. Texting and social networking is the way that we're communicating with each other now. Focus on civic engagement, work readiness education, and 21st century skills are youth programs when you're looking at the programming aspect. Technology is simply the tool. It comes with a lot of bells and whistles, but effective programming has a reason for being. It may be about end results, or it may be about software. You decide what's most important. For civic engagement, this means working to make a difference in the civic life of our communities and developing the combination of knowledge, skills, values, and motivation that make a difference. Or, like I like to think of it, as creating healthy neighborhoods.
Patrick, we seem to be having a problem with your sound.
Uh-oh.
There we go. It's better.
Okay. Programs that connect people to healthier lifestyles through the use of today's media and technology. Work readiness education can help to bridge the gap between high school graduation and the workforce and provide tips for success in the early years of their working lives. And this is true for many adults in our community as well. And then, finally, 21st century skill building in our youth programs is kind of fundamental programming that's needed in after-school library programs. Look at UMedia in Chicago, for example, to see how they have established informal, structured, and mentored learning in the core of their programs, and even their physical setup for their youth access to that technology. I'll also plug the growing need for STEM education, science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. The future requires knowledge of these areas, and we see our country's youth falling farther and farther behind the rest of the world. Fundamental STEM skills are sorely needed in the job market, and that's something you want to include in your programming. Okay, so let's take all this information we just learned and see how we can put it practically into action. Mobile Stories, Citizen Journalists in Action is a case study of incorporating smartphones into youth programming. Launched earlier this year, this project was an after-school program that uses the popularity of the mobile phone to connect with local youth ages 9 through 14 with extensive resources available at their local library in a format that's both current and easily accessible. The library, in this case, San Diego Public Library, recognizes the ubiquity of cell phone technology, the need for underrepresented teens to express their voices regarding news and events in their neighborhoods, and Mobile Stories' potential to connect youth and their interests and the needs of information and resources of the library. The main goal, afternoon workshops sought to increase community and library literacy using mobile technology. So let's go ahead and I'm going to take a break from talking and we're going to watch another short video. Okay, Chuck? sound? I'm not hearing anything, Chuck.
Fun for kids, fun for adults. The Malcolm X Library has something for everyone. This is Demetrius from Mobile Stories reporting for the Malcolm X Library.
Usually I come with my kids, and so I enjoy looking through the books with them, adventure books or whatever they might be interested in.
Kids really enjoy the library because it gives them a place to meet other kids and to read books, use their spirits, and join fun programs.
It's very resourceful. You can find all kind of things here to read, things that you may be researching to use, like at school if you're doing a project or something, and even having the computers available is great.
Not only can you come to the Malcolm X Library to learn, you can also come to help out or being a volunteer.
The volunteer program is important because it helps our library staff keep up with some of the tasks that we can't do. All they have to do is come down, fill out an application, return it to me, and then I figure out when they're available and when we need them.
For more information on the Malcolm X Library, visit us at www.mobilestories.org.
Come to the library. You will enjoy it, and so as well as your kids.
The stories we tell in our local communities are part of the larger stories happening all around the world. Youth at the library are not only highlighting the importance of these stories, but showing the importance of libraries as active parts in the creation and interpretation of these shared histories for the public. In effect, the project of the library-based Teen Citizen Journalism Project is bringing mobile marketing and programming together in a way that fits the smartphone technology. First, we will explore the marketing side of social networks and improving the content delivery for the mobile interface. So what we're looking at is the Mobile Stories website. Let's look at how the program was visually and programmatically designed in terms of something that you could recreate. Mobile internet services cannot simply be reduced forms of traditional services. It's not a question of being able to see everything you can find at our website on the small smartphone screen. Rather, the services must be completely rebuilt so that they fit perfectly the conditions and use of smartphones and tablets. In this case, the library decided to choose to use WordPress for this project, which replaces website development with plug-in applications. In addition, the library set up user accounts in social networks like Facebook, Twitter, Flickr, and YouTube. By simply filling in their account information into WordPress apps, they were able to show off all current activity of all their diverse social networks. Here you can see the relationship between the social network site and how it appears on the WordPress website and smartphone. We're looking at Flickr, a popular online photo management and sharing application. On the left, you see the Flickr homepage, and on the right, you see how this information is feeding into WordPress. Let me skip back for a second so you can see where Flickr is showing up here. So on the website, it's just showing up in a very small portion of the page. Same thing occurs with Facebook and other social network applications, a simple way to keep your core website up to date. In the past, you could make a change to your social network app, but then you had to also make the same changes to your website. Not anymore. It's a breeze to keep things current and actively engage your friends in real time. Now that we've prepped a WordPress web page, it's time to get a little programming. By having teams in this project use social networks in an interesting way. Here's an example of a smartphone app and its ease of use. In this case, we're looking at iMovie, a video app. The pictures here tell the story. Follow along. The app is opened by touching the related icon on the smartphone screen. Another tap opens the video interface. A third tap allows the user to create a new video and add a pre-existing video that you already saved on the phone. And then once the interview is captured, it may be instantly sent to a number of social networks with a simple tap. Literally, you can open up an application, record a video, and instantly share it in a handful of taps. As you've seen on TV, a new generation of smartphones are coming out too with a Facebook button So anytime you record something, you can just hit the little Facebook button and it automatically goes. We're really living in the present in today's technology. So now that you know what the technology looks like, you may be wondering, what does this look like in the library during the program? Here we see a team working on interview together. One boy has a list of interview questions that the students developed earlier. Another boy is interviewing subjects, while two boys handle the audio and the video capturing. Mobile Story starts the students by getting them familiar with the tools of technology through brief tutorials and informational learning, like scavenger hunts, where the students had to go and seek photographs in the library, record a video, find a QR code, or even team up with another group via messaging apps, among other tasks. Eventually, the students were groomed to report on activities taking place at the library and sharing them with family and friends via the use of smartphone applications. That's when the real fun started, when they started communicating with their family and friends and students at other libraries who were involved in the project. The program took place at 4 libraries on different days of the week, but during the same time frame and using the same curriculum. Security and storage is important. Keeping tabs on your equipment is essential. In this program, the phones and accessories were used only during mentored class time and were checked out to students. A custom case was purchased to hold 10 phones along with all the necessary cords, and each phone was labeled and signed out for on-site use only. And a security tracking software was installed and activated. So now it's time to get smart, pull out those phones and use them wisely. Located online at InfoPeople and Media Arts Center, you'll find the attachments we've discussed today, and I think you'll find that some of the resources will really add to your own knowledge and hopefully take away some of the fast-paced technology and techno-babble I shared today. Okay, so let's go ahead and look at some of your questions and answers. Okay, yes, so is there a handout you can download? Yes, this entire PowerPoint is included in the handouts online at InfoPeople. Oh, great. Okay. Okay. Let's see here. It looks like Eileen has answered a lot of these questions, so I'm going to just keep scrolling down. So the question is, the library would use these phones, or issue the phones to librarians, or would they use their own personal phones? Well, I guess that really depends upon the library. In the Mobile Stories project, we were very fortunate to be able to purchase, a dozen phones, and those then are checked out and were used at all 3 or 4 locations of that project. But there's no reason why you couldn't use your own smartphones when you're doing work behind the desk. The source for vSlow and page speed, you can just simply type that into Google, vSlow, and you'll find their website and page speed the same. Will we be emailed a copy of this webinar? Typically, InfoPeople will post the entire webinar along with my voice onto their website shortly after this webinar is completed. So you can actually listen to it again, or you can go and download the PowerPoint and review it. Wonder if blogs are considered to be dead and antiquated as a Web 2.0 marketing tool. Is there an alternate substitute? Social media tools like Facebook and Twitter don't provide enough space to provide more detail. I really think that the WordPress is setting an example of the new age of the blog. As we saw in the Mobile Stories, you're able to feed in all sorts of social network sites, and so it gives you really a kind of a cool way to get a lot of information in real time. With the Mobile Stories project, the kids were at obviously different libraries and, you know, recording videos, taking pictures, had, you know, thoughts they wanted to communicate in text format. And as they sent that to the various social networks like YouTube for video, Flickr for photos, Facebook and Twitter for the text, all of that still fed into the WordPress. Then the instructor also had the ability to go in and include that more information, those blogs that tie things together. An example of a virtual whiteboard. That's a good one. I don't really have any. Maybe other people could suggest. What I do know is using Dropbox or Google Docs, I'm able to communicate with people all across the state using live documents, meaning I can make a change and then somebody in another city can make a change, and we'll both have the most current document at any given time. How do you text to your library population as a marketing tool? I think that one thing that your patrons would appreciate is to know, what's happening at the library. Oftentimes, the general public think, oh, a library is a place where you get a book and a story. But the truth is, the library is a thriving community center, and there's tons of things happening. And those are the types of things that you can text out to the community. Oh, we have a film coming up. Don't forget there's story time. And then, as a suggestion I had made, if you have some books coming in that are hot off the press, go ahead and let those patrons that have opted in text them and tell them that that is there and available, and that'll help to make them feel special. They're on the pulse. Any recommendations for texting tools to do this? Well, I simply think that you can use, in the smartphone, you already have the ability to send text messages. You can also do it via email, utilizing your social networks. There's many ways to text in today's world. Personally, I just use the text feature that's a part of my phone. Why is mobile enabled better than mobile friendly? I think mobile compatible versus mobile friendly. The goal was in a real-time world with all the information feeding in, everything is current, mobile compatible. Your website and your smartphone interface will appear very similar, if not the same. Mobile friendly, you're creating two separate websites, one for computer, one for mobile phone, and then you have to remember to make changes to both of them every time you do it. It becomes just more time consuming, and we all need as much time as we can get, I'm sure. And smartphones, typically, are they supplied by the library or are they personally owned? I think I already answered that. It's going to be different at each library. I think for the library, owning and controlling the phones is probably the best. It's the best possible solution, so you have the technology in-house. The downside is the data plans. They're expensive. So each library would need to consider how they want to handle that option. The Mobile Stories project was fortunately recently funded by a corporate funder. So we were able to get the data plan and the hardware purchased for us. So there's always an option to think about that, think outside the box. And the final question I have is, there's some confusion about QR codes and the information contained within. Don't need internet. Do you need internet connection to open up a link access through a QR code? Most QR codes are complex enough that all the additional information that you want to include in them can be built within the code itself. And I think that the best way to learn about this is to just simply learn by experience. Go ahead and download a program like Crafter and start trying to utilize it. You could put tons of information into that QR code and never have a need to access the internet. Of course, you can also create the QR code so it does access internet materials. So it's really kind of what your goal is to have that QR code in place. Okay, so I think that pretty much runs out of time for us today. I gave my email at the earlier part of the chat session, patrick@mediaartscenter.org. If you have follow-up questions, feel free to contact me. And I hope that you join us again for more of our webinars. I'll be leading one in December, and that information is available at InfoPeople. Okay, Chuck or Eileen?
That's me. Hi, Patrick, and thank you all for attending. As we said in the text chat, but I'll reinforce it now, we will be putting up an archive of the text chat as well as a transcript of the closed captioning, and it'll be on that link we've been providing throughout the webinar. Additionally, you can download all the handouts, including Patrick's PowerPoint slides there as well. So again, thank you all for attending, and we hope to see you at the next webinar.